Happy Wednesday, and welcome to our team here down at the Broadway Diner that's behind us. I'm Bev Curtis with House of Brokers, and welcome to our Facebook Live this morning with my entire team here at Bev & Co. Today is a very special day, and the reason I say that is we're actually celebrating today, this morning, at the Broadway Diner, our 101st Facebook Live with Bev & Co. Breakfast with Bev. And that's a big deal to us because over the years, I have to say, we've had a lot of people that have graciously joined in and gave their time, their talent, their thoughts about the real estate market, and gave some great information to our friends and our clients in the real estate community. Breakfast with Bev was designed several years ago to be a platform for our clients and friends so that we could give valuable information about the real estate process, all of the details that goes along with that. And like I said, we've had some great people that have shared their expertise along the way. This morning, I'd like to take this time to introduce my team. And when I say my team, the team is actually Bev & Co. And all of the team players are very committed. And that's where our passion, our pride, and our perspective comes into play. All of us here at Bev & Co. have a passion for the real estate industry and providing the best buyer and seller experience possible. We take great pride in our workmanship and providing the best technology and platforms and marketing abilities that we can to give good experiences to our buyers and sellers. And obviously our perspective has yielded great results through the years. Starting off here is Cheryl Maupin, and Cheryl is actually our marketing director for Bev & Co. and has been with us going on almost 9 years. Behind Cheryl is actually Kenny Hubble. Kenny has joined our team earlier this spring, has almost 25 years in the business, and he is our listing coordinator here at Bev & Co. Next to Kenny is Dan Fowler. Dan joined us almost 2 years ago. He is our buyer specialist for Bev & Co. and does an outstanding job providing buyers with a great experience. This morning, what we're going to do is something a little bit different. We're going to actually take questions from our viewing audience and answer any questions that you might have live that we can help you with. So if any of our viewing audience wants to chime in and throw me out a question, we'll try to answer it to the best of our ability.
And we got Marla.
Oh, and behind me, I'm sorry. Marla was actually filming on the other side. Marla Portrait has been with us for going on almost 5 years, and she's our client care manager. And my apologies, she was filming and then had to switch places with Cheryl. And she does an outstanding job with our customer care clients. I've got everybody in now, so.
Yes, so our first question,
I'm going to kind of switch over here a little bit.
we have a question that came from us on Messenger. How does an election year is going to affect the real estate market?
You know, election years are always interesting. Typically in an election year, you will see that the market generally kind of starts to taper off at the start of school. Obviously this year with COVID, it's a very unique kind of wonky year that we're dealing with, especially since the Columbia Public Schools has announced that they're going online virtually with their classroom work. So we also then have the back end pressure of an election. Usually in an election year, things are pretty stable as far as interest rates wise, and we've seen that so far. So far the interest rates have remained at an all-time low. And the one thing unique about this year heading towards an election, I would normally say once we get to that September or October, things start to taper off. However, with the COVID situation that came about earlier this spring, it has pushed the market back out, and we do have a very low inventory, which still keeps pressure for buyers wanting to purchase and secure a low interest rate. So for this year, it's completely outside the norm, and the market is still heading forward, and I see that happening all the way up till about the election time. After that, it's kind of like whatever the crystal ball brings.
And then, so if anybody else has any more questions, see if any more come in.
Gary.
guess just kind of give everybody an overview of what the market's doing currently.
So the market right now is, like I said, different. And a lot of that is the wild card with COVID that's going on and trying to navigate through that. At the moment, we have had our most all-time low inventory that I've seen since I've been in the business, which has been about 27 years now. And so we have buyers waiting to buy and have made multiple offers on properties and still have not been able to secure them with offering over the full price. It's also a little bit of a tricky market because patience is really a virtue in this situation, because even though a person wants to buy a home and the inventory, there's a lack of it, you certainly don't want to get into a bidding war situation where you overpay, and as the market corrects out in the future, and it always does, you don't want to be top heavy in your home and have paid too much, and then it's going to take a much longer period of time in order to regain that equity in your home and be in a positive situation.
Yeah, so you're talking about multiple offers and stuff. Garrett asked us on Facebook basically tell everybody what an escalation clause is and how does that work?
Okay, so escalation clauses have been used this year more than any other year that I've seen them be used. Our team has actually used them ourselves. We've actually been able to get a property under contract by using that tactic. And here's what it simply means. In the contract written for our buyer, and obviously we have to do our homework to make certain that whatever price we're going to elevate that to, we've done our homework that we feel that the location and schools is going to back that up in time to come. But in the contract, we're going to actually state that our buyer is willing to pay X amount of dollars. It could be $1, $500, $1,000, whatever the case might be, over the highest offer on the table, not to exceed a cap of X amount of dollars. So here's an example of that. A property is listed for $150,000. 7 offers come in on this one particular home. We have a buyer with Bev Co. that basically says, I want this house. It's exactly what I want, exactly in the school district. Get this house for me. We do the comparables. We look to say we think the trends will support up to about 157 if you're willing to pay that price. Buyer says, yes, I want the house. So in our contract, what we would do then is state that the buyer is willing to pay $1,000 over the highest offer on the table with proof that there is the highest offer on the table that supports that price up to $157,000. And if somebody has an escalation clause that goes over that, then that is our cap. That's where we stop. We let the property, go to the other party. So that's basically the gist of what an escalation clause is and how it's been used.
Okay, and then Garrett had another question. Is it better to do home warranties now? With houses that used to take a cut to help pay for repairs, now houses are going to add costs that are above asking. Is it better to get this included?
If you're not in a multiple offer situation, I would say if the mechanicals are older in the home and you have concerns that maybe you don't have a budget set aside to accommodate those repairs, then I would go ahead and ask for the home warranty and try to use that as a bargaining negotiation tool. If for some reason there are multiple offers and you're in a competing offer situation, that is something that the buyer is going to have to be comfortable with to know that, okay, that home warranty could throw me out, and over $500 to $700, depending on the warranty that they wanted, could make or break them getting the sale. My suggestion would be, if the mechanicals support it, that they go ahead and leave it out of the offer or increase the sales price to cover it if it's something that's really important to them, so that they can still get it. Because at the end of the day, the buyer can still obtain a home warranty on their own, and they can do that at time of closing and not let that be a factor that's going to not let them get the home at that time. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah.
Bev, we got a question here from Brianna. What's your marketing strategy when it comes to potentially selling my home in this marketplace?
Okay, so that's a great question to ask because at Bev & Co, we are definitely different than our competition. And when I say different, we have a focused team that basically handles each aspect of the process. And we have a company that we cooperate with our marketing. So our website is state of the art. Our marketing platforms that they provide us and that we actually input in are outstanding. And our coverage on all of our social media platforms exceeds our competition. It's one of those things where you have to pay to play, and we spend the dollars necessary on all of the different venues, everything from marketing online to being a premier Zillow agent to Facebook Live to Instagram, and even to our fellow realtors, because our relationship with our fellow realtors is paramount. Because when we're out there with a listing and they know that we are great to work with, our properties are groomed up well, repairs are made in advance so that the property shows in its best light, they are very eager to show our properties and know that we have the time and the talent behind the scenes with our team to make a seamless transaction.
Got another question here. With the inventory being low like you indicated, if I'm going to sell my house, will I have a place to go?
Okay, and that's another great question because it's come about quite often. Here's what I would say to that. I'm going to let the truck go by in a minute here. Many times what we will do is actually do a two-step process where if you want to put your home on the market, but you're not certain where you're going to go, we can actually line up a temporary rental for you. That's one option. We've also done scenarios before to where, depending on what the buyer situation is, if they are in a lease and have an extended few months to go on that lease, we could actually have that buyer close on the property, go ahead and get their interest rate fixed and everything set. The seller could do a rent back with that buyer and give them several months' time to go ahead and secure a property. The other thing that we could do is literally wait until the buyer finds their home and then actually secure a contract. You could do a bridge loan or an extended time period out, because sometimes even in the market that we're in, it's not always about a quick close. Sometimes sellers need an extended close, and that way then you could go ahead and give yourself time to get your home sold and marketed. Because in the market that we're in, pretty much in all price ranges, if your property is groomed up and is in showing condition where it supports the price and the price is accurate, your property should sell in 30 days or less. Many times it's happened in a week or less, sometimes even within the first 24 hours. So that's where we would come in, do an assessment on your home, and give you the best guidance depending on your financial stability.
So I think, does anybody else have any
Is there any other questions?
that came in?
Yeah.
Just none on the comments.
And I'm going to just real quick, I'm going to have Dan here. Dan is actually our full-time buyer's agent. And so you are out in the field with buyers going in and out of homes, showing all the time. For a buyer perspective, what would you say would be the best advice or pitfalls or things to look for a buyer that's looking in the market today?
Well, I think, and you've already touched on it a little bit, that it's a very tough situation right now. Normally, buying a home is always stressful, but it should be a fun process. Right now, it's highly stressful because a lot of people, we're not buying a candy bar here, we're buying a house. And so right now, especially in that 250, 275, 300 range, if you're not ready to put an offer in, if you find the house you like and it's on the market new, if you're not ready to buy right then, it's going to have an offer that night, or it's going to have multiple offers the next day. So the tough part right now for buyers is getting their mindset that this is the way I have to buy a house right now. And if you're not in that mindset to do that right now, then, as you said, patience. You got to try to have the patience, and you got to be willing to understand that you're probably going to lose a couple homes that you really like if you're not ready to go. So you got to have your pre-approval lined up. You got to be in the mindset when we go out there that if you really like this house, get ready to make the offer. And so that is a really different mindset than 6 months ago. 6-7 months ago, we didn't have this. You didn't have to do that. You had the time and could look. And so it's been really emotionally straining on some of my buyers to be in this position to have to do this, because it's not a natural thing for most buyers to just go out there and look at this house and say, well, I got to buy this, or it's going to be gone tomorrow. And it is truly what's happening with my buyers. When we go out and look at a $280,000 slab that's clean in a good location, I tell them, this house will be gone tomorrow. If you want to buy it, we got to get in the game. That's been hard for some people to understand, and I get it. And it's, Garrett asked the question about the escalation clause. How many did we do this year with escalation clauses?
Quite a few.
I think I did at least 2 or 3 this year.
Well, I know Marla has done.
Oh, yeah.
You've done
You had
several.
it.
I've done several. I know Kenny and Cheryl have both done several.
And so it's really unusual right now because, and again, I had 2 buyers that were able to get the house purchased only because we put the escalation clause in.
Well,
so it's just.
And an escalation clause doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it either, because someone could, basically ante it up and have a higher amount that they're going to do. And some sellers, I've even had a seller that says, I don't want an escalation clause. I want to know what is the highest and best offer that you're going to present to me, and that's what's going to be on the table that we're going to look at and make our deciding factor. So, because it's an interesting ball game right now.
It is now. I have, we used to say that you had to be in that 250 to 300 range is where they're flying off the shelf. Well, then 3 months ago, that went to 400. So it was houses in the 300s were even doing that.
Oh yeah.
That has kind of come back a little bit. So we're starting to see it. We're starting to see it tilt a little bit back to a little bit of normalcy, if there is such a thing this year.
Yeah.
So maybe it's slowing down just a tad, maybe.
Okay. And Marla, from a customer care standpoint, what would be a tip to a seller or buyer that you have found throughout this year, being kind of a different year, that you would say would be a good piece of information, good advice? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I would say, selling your home is a really stressful process. 3 of us on our team, myself and Bev and Dan, we all bought and sold homes this year. So, when you go through it yourself, you kind of figure some stuff out. I would say it's very helpful for sellers to think about distancing yourself from your home. So Kenny talks about it all the time. You have to divorce yourself from your home. So you're not thinking of it as the home that you raised your family in, the home that you live in every day. You have to take a step back and realize this feedback that's coming in, some people might be a little critical, and not to take it personally, and just to be able to use that constructively. Another thing I think is really helpful just in keeping you organized, keep your house as clean and clutter-free as possible. So, you don't want to be seeing dishes in the sink, you don't want to be seeing toothbrushes out on your bathroom vanity tops. So maybe you even have, I've heard of people having a laundry basket, and you get a showing request, and you pick up everything that's laying around, throw it in your laundry basket, put it in the trunk of your car, and you're off. So, like Dan was saying, it's a very competitive, fast-moving market right now. So you're generally going to see showings right off the bat if you're in that price range that's going to be pretty competitive. So just staying organized, I think, would be really helpful.
And then,
go ahead, Cheryl.
So back to sellers, we do have a few more questions.
Go ahead.
Will I be able to see a written comparative market analysis on my home, and do you do that in person?
Yes, and in fact, I'm going to let Kenny answer this question, because Kenny is our listing coordinator, and he and I typically go on most all listing appointments together, and sometimes Cheryl joins in with us as well. And so Kenny, I'm going to let you answer that question. I'm going to step back for the social distancing here.
Yeah, it's a great question, because what we have to do is, we're a team as far as Bev & Co., but when we come to be able to talk to you about marketing your property, we look at it as a team effort with that seller. So what we do is make sure that the seller is prepared and educated about the marketplace currently. And so we come with a snapshot. So an appraiser, once they have a contract, they have to justify that sales price. Well, our job as your realtor is to be able to make sure that we know what that value is at the beginning, so we have it priced correctly. So absolutely, we come prepared as far as knowing how many actives you're competing with, how many properties have went under contract in the last 45 days, which is the actual demand, current demand in the marketplace. And then we talk about the sales properties on a macro effort, meaning all of Columbia or all of a high school district, and then kind of narrow it down to the neighborhood itself, and talk about how many properties have sold over the last 12 months and or 6 months, if we can be able to get down that far, that are directly competitors to your property to help to establish a value. So along with that, what we do is, on an ongoing basis, we will be able to keep you updated on the marketplace every week, to be able to make sure as the market changes that you're informed about that as sellers. So it's a very important question, and it is what makes us excited about sharing our team with you as far as sellers, to make you part of our team, and we're excited to be able to help you during the process.
So I've got another question that came in here. Do I need professional stagers for my home to sell? Do I pay for that, or is that something you provide?
So the question on that, I would say, is when we come to view your home and do what I call our home assessment, we're going to literally size up your home and see how it shows. When we walk through your front door, we're going to basically look around your spaces and see, does it need tweaking? Some homes do, some homes do not. Most homes, just like our own, when you live in them, there can be some additional clutter that you're just kind of oblivious to because you live there every day, and that's perfectly normal. So we're going to walk through your entire home. We're going to also go on the outside as far as yard grooming and landscaping, and actually let you know exactly what needs to be tweaked. If furniture needs to be moved out, if we need to move some in, if there needs to be artwork placed on the wall, if we need to have declutter gone. And then once we go through what you currently already have, if for some reason we feel like it needs something to make the camera pop, to give it its best presentation, then we do have stagers that we can use. And depending on the size of the home and what the situation is, we can either assist with that, the seller can pay for that. Those are options that when we're doing our listing process, we discuss in conversation and figure out what's going to be in the best interest of all parties. So we certainly have options, and we certainly can participate if needed. And staging right now, I have to say, and Cheryl on our team, and she's got it nailed. Cheryl, what's your slogan that is just tried and true through the years?
Pretty sells.
Pretty sells. And so Cheryl is, as like I said before, is our marketing coordinator. Give us your perspective on pretty sells and what the buyer's expectations are, Cheryl.
Well, I think, now with Pinterest and Instagram and HGTV, buyers' expectations of what their new home is going to be is pretty high. And so even like first-time home buyers, and even the higher up in price you go, the higher the expectation is that the home is turnkey, ready to go, beautiful HGTV quality. So I think buyers kind of have a skewed perspective on that. But the prettier your house can be, keeping it clean, just having it tidied up. And if you're in the process of moving out, like, we can bring in stagers that it helps the photography so much, because even though you might have this gorgeous couch, if it's not placed in the right position and hiding the gorgeous fireplace, it's doing you no justice in getting the best price for your house. And then we also have virtual staging options, so if the house is vacant, that's something we can offer too. So it does go without saying, the prettier it is, you get more views online too. And even if it's just people looking online at the house because it's pretty, that helps you as a seller because that's going to get you in front of more buyers because it's going to pull you up on ranks like Zillow and all the major websites. So.
All right, we've got one more question that's come in here. For the first-time home buyer, is there currently affordable housing on the market? Price range 150 and below.
Yes, and I have to say that is probably the hottest market with the lowest inventory right now, that 150 and below, just because it's highly sought after. And so that's where having to do some digging, I call it, to try to find properties like that, because those are the type of properties that are going to receive multiple offers. Those are the ones that you're probably going to have to pay above and over the asking price. And so that's probably the 150 and below, I would say, is by far the toughest price category. And that's where a lot of times what we'll do is contact our past clients, ask if anyone that is currently in a home in that price range is willing to move up or possibly moving out of area. That's where we kind of do our little digging in our research to come up with our own listings for our clients, because when they're in the multiple listing service and there are 600 and some odd agents all looking for properties for their clients, it's very difficult for one buyer to get that property without losing out several times to receive it. There's also different city assistance programs and things that are available in that price range. There's USDA 100% loans that maybe the ideal situation was not to be outside the city limits, but because of the different programs available, which that's typically a first-time homebuyer price range, not necessarily, but happens quite often, there are some options like that that opens up some doors for different properties. Would you agree with that, Kenny? Or
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be something to be able to think about that might not be Columbia schools, but if we're looking at Hallsville, Sturgeon, Centralia, Boonville, Fulton, there's some different properties in that price range as far as being able to do that as well. But the Columbia inventory as far as properties under 150 has gotten harder and harder to be able to do, and that dates back from the 2008 to 2012 we stopped construction, and we're still have, even though we're 8-10 years out from that, have never really caught up. And with the multiple offer situation that ends up happening and the low interest rates where people have refinanced and decided to stay in their home, it's made that price point even pushed down even further. So as you know, I would think not necessarily just thinking about focusing on Columbia, but there's more to our marketplace than just Columbia itself, and we're happy to help with buyers and sellers outside of just the Columbia area.
by the way, you're sporting the little Bev
Yeah, we
Q&A
got
shirt.
Bev
It looks
Q&A.
really good on you, Kenny.
And your House of Brokers mask.
Shameless advertising.
So,
All right,
was there
I've got-
any other questions, Marla, that came up this morning?
I have one last question
Sure.
here, and then we've got a little surprise for our viewers.
Okay.
Okay, so our last question. What should my first steps be if I'm thinking about selling my home?
So the first step that I would say is reach out to our team here at Bev & Co. and let us set an appointment and come out and do a home assessment. At that point in time, we'll listen to what your needs are and what you're trying to accomplish and what time frame that looks like. The sooner that you do that prior to actually needing to move, the better. That way it's not crunch time. It gives you time if we decide that, some things are going to be necessary to sell your home. Some things might be what I kind of consider charity. And so that's where we will determine, for the price point that you're in, what's necessary for you to achieve your maximum sales dollar in a reasonable time period that fits your goals and needs. And that's where I would start. And from there, we will strategize accordingly to what your specific situation is. Okay?
I think the key to that is, I'm going to jump
No,
in here
please.
a little bit.
Sorry, we got a lot more in the background here.
The key to that is to call us first before you start thinking about painting or changing carpet or doing bathroom remodels or kitchen remodels, because there's some things that you will not get your money back from as far as investment on your money. So make sure you call us first to be able to have us come in and do that home assessment like what Bev was talking about.
Yes, because sometimes we've had to come in and say, ooh, this really needs to be painted, and the seller says, I just got done painting it, and I'm like, oh, it really needs to be repainted. So things like that are things that we can help you with and make it go so much smoother and easier, okay? All right. Any other questions?
No,
this
I
is
think
fun.
that was
We're gonna have to do this more often with the questions.
I think that was our last live question. So, Bev, do you want to tell everybody about our little special surprise for our loyal viewers this morning?
Yes. So basically, what we've decided to do, first of all, we want to thank the Broadway Diner. So obviously, as you know, it's been a true icon here in Columbia for many, many, many years. And we always like to support local. So they were kind enough this morning to let us hold it here outside because we certainly want to be respectful with the mask order and everything that's going on with the pandemic. So it worked out fantastic. And then with that, the person that submitted the very first question this morning, we would like to give a $25 gift card to a free breakfast to the Broadway Diner. And that way we can go ahead and send that to you so that you can enjoy breakfast on us.
So that's going to go to Garrett Rosinski.
Garrett Rosinski, thank you, buddy.
Thank
So
you for
you
the great
guys can
questions.
come and enjoy a free breakfast on us. And once again, guys, I just want to thank you on behalf of our entire team for your support, your trust, your loyalty through the years. Many of our clients have become very good friends of ours, and it's been one big family that we all try to take care of one another and help each other out as we navigate through life in general. And housing is a big piece of that. As things change in your life and chapters unfold and move on to new things, a lot of times it does affect the housing arrangement. And once again, I want to thank all the participants through the years that joined in and offered their time and expertise. We really do appreciate that, and basically our relationships with all the people that we have partnered with through the years. It wouldn't be possible for our team to provide the experience that we do to our clients without your help and support. So thank you guys so much for joining in our 101st episode, and we have great things ahead. So keep staying tuned. Let us know if you have topics that you want us to review and cover in the future, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions, give guidance. Most importantly, don't ever stop contacting us as far as if you need anything as far as assistance or guidance or what should I do. We're always here as a resource to assist you along the way. Thank you guys. Enjoy your Wednesday. We'll see you next week.